She had the personality like a piece of cardboard. Stiff and dry. Hey folks, welcome back. I'm late in making sure my birds are alright and closing the outside gate. Everything seems good. So, I come on to the beginning of the video, or maybe I'll make it a short, I don't know folks, is part of one of the private videos that I sent someone. I was about over it at the end of the day yesterday. It was closing time and I had just gotten there, and yeah. So I want to tell you, when I came home one day about 5 years ago, when I had my chickens and my guinea fowl, and I didn't have my ducks or my geese back then. I came home to drunk chickens. They were laying all over the yard, and I thought something had gotten to them and killed them, and they were just laying everywhere. Because that year, of course, I had an abundance of chickens hatch, right? And guinea fowl. One year I had 400 guinea fowl keats hatch, folk. They just kept bringing them home, bringing them home. They were out in the woods under brush piles, and that year I had a lot of birds. So I came home and it was a sunny day. I remember it was a sunny day, and when I was pulling in, I just saw my chickens everywhere. And I'm like, what? The only thing I could think of was a weasel. Because a lot of times the weasel will strike, kill, leave what they just killed, and go on to another one. And it's basically a game. They just love to kill. So I remember looking around, there's no blood. I get out of my vehicle, and I saw a few chickens moving. They looked just like they were dead, though. They were laying on their side, and their mouths are open. Some of their eyes are open. Most of their eyes are open. But I didn't see any blood, and I didn't see any excess feathers. So I'm like, what in the world is going on? Well, I have a bench out beside the driveway. On the other side of that bench, you can't see until you're walking around the bench. Well, I found some more chickens lying on their side, and I'm like, did they get poisoned? That's the only thing I could think of. Maybe they got poisoned because there's no blood anywhere. So when I got around the bench, I saw it. It was two 2.5 gallon buckets of fermented corn that somebody had dropped off to me. No covers. You could smell the alcohol. You could just smell it. So I'm like, there were chickens lying next to the pails, and I was pretty sure those ones were dead. So I'm like, somebody dropped off some fermented corn for my birds without covers. My birds, loving corn, start eating it, right? Well, they don't have to eat much fermented corn for their little tiny bodies before they start getting drunk. I remember going over to one chicken, my favorite, Henrietta, a hawk, ended up getting her right in front of me one night because she would run from the roost. I'd get home late after dark. She'd get off her roost, come running out, and squat right in front of me for me to pick her up and put her back on her roost after some loving, right? That's also the same one that would haul my wood with me. Get up on the wood pile. She'd wait till I get my arms full, and she'd jump on the pile of wood in my arms and walk to the deck with me, and she would jump off and wait until I come out, and I would pick her up, and she would haul my wood with me. Very friendly. And that was I used to have New Hampshire red chickens. So I picked Henrietta up, and she was alive. I tried to get her to stand on her feet, and she just flopped over. So I got her so she was squatting on her feet so she wouldn't fall over. Well, she flopped over on the side anyway. I had like 60 some odd chickens, folks, that were all intoxicated. One by one, I would pick them up, walk them into the coop. I didn't want to put them on the roost because they would just fall off, right? So one by one, I would set them on the floor of the coop to have them sleep it off, right? But those chickens were definitely drunk. I am so sure that they had alcohol poisoning. So they slept it off that night, and in the morning they were excessively thirsty. So there's only a handful of people that would bring me fermented corn. Now, I don't think they realized that fermented corn has alcohol in it. Well, what were they doing with fermented corn, right? Because a 2.5 gallon bucket and a 2.5 gallon bucket is 5 gallons of fermented corn. Well, there's only so many things you use with fermented corn. Well, they thought they would take that fermented corn and bring it to me for my birds, and not really realizing that it's fermented. Fermented corn is alcohol, and these are little tiny birds, and they're going to go to that yellow corn because they were used to eating crack corn and eat it. That part didn't even cross their mind. Well, I tracked that person down and asked them kindly to never do that again. For one reason, there's no reason for me to have fermented corn even in the yard, right? And I certainly didn't want to feed them to my birds. So I kindly put them on his doorstep. And I never got any more since. But the question that he had asked was, well, did any die? No, but they could have. They could have died. And they called it something like, well, then you could can drunk chicken. Well, I didn't think that was funny. The whole story is kind of funny if you're listening to it, but as a bird owner, it wasn't funny for me at the time. It wasn't. So there's my story of my drunk chickens and their hangover the next day, right? So folks, if you're going to ferment corn for whatever reason, find a place to dispose of that, and don't bring it to your local neighbor who raises chickens. Okay, my chickens don't go to the bar to get intoxicated. They stay home and they eat bugs, they eat ants, they eat ticks. They'll eat anything that they find because chickens are little piglets, right? They'll continue eating even if they're not hungry. If they see something that looks appetizing to the mind, they're going to peck at it. Now, that's one of the reasons why I got rid of my chickens, because my chickens ate a lot of food. They were very hard to keep out of the garden. The guinea fowl were even harder to keep out of the garden because the guinea fowl didn't eat the corn, folks. So, that's good. So, I used to joke that the guinea fowl is so stupid that they'll call in their enemy so they can be eaten, right? So, the guinea fowl they have some instincts, but they sometimes have poor instincts as well. But they would figure out how to fly over the garden fence to get in the garden, but they couldn't figure out that they could fly back over. So what they would do if they would fly in the garden, if one flies in the garden, you've got a few more that's going to say, well, that sounds like a good idea. But they'll come up to the fence, think they can walk through the fence, not understanding that a fence is to keep them out. Well, if they're in, it keeps them in too, right? So they would pace along this 25-foot section of fence, just pace, back and forth, squawking like only guinea fowl can squawk, right? And so I'd have to go in, open the garden gate door, and shoo them out. That was irritating. But the 4-foot fence kept the chickens out for the most part. And that was the reason for the 4-foot fence. Because chickens will get in there and scratch. The guinea fowl don't do much scratching. They'll pick bugs, right? But the chickens will do an awful lot of damage to the garden. So I got rid of the chickens. I got rid of the guinea fowl. And I swore I would never have either again. I'll never have guinea fowl in here again. The chickens, if I ever get chickens again, they will be meat bird chickens, where I'll have them for 9 weeks. That's where I like to process them, is 9 weeks, at the max 10 weeks. And I skin my birds, so they're very easy. Just make one slit and just move your hands all over the body, and you can peel that skin right off the bird, right? So some of you probably aren't enjoying this part of the video, but that's just how it works. That's part of homesteading. That's part of raising your food, whether it's chickens, ducks, geese, guinea fowl, right? That's just part of homesteading the way that I homestead. So there's my story about drunk chickens, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Good night.